Guys, it's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into this one final what I think is going to happen for the rest of the playoffs. As you guys know, if you've been following the channel, then not much is a shocker. I strongly believe we're going to get the Celtics still, and on the West, I'm more open. But again, after the Clippers, Dallas has been my favorite team, so let's go into that. And I want to do a recap real quick. This is like a double video. Hectic. Classes picked up another job, so just been busy. But I do want to focus more on the narratives, the symbolism, whatever you want to go into. I don't typically go into symbolism, but I'm going to. But what I like to do is get the recap out of the way for anybody that just wants picks for tomorrow, obviously, because that's the priority. And then for the people watching over on YouTube here, I'm going to post again this video on both. We'll be going into just basically how I think the finals are going to end up and why. But anyway, just to knock the recap out of the way, we had a pretty good day today. I was able to check my email, and Chris, I always appreciate you. He kind of goes through the matches, and sometimes, of course, I'll be off by a unit sometimes, or usually it's decimals, but he always brings it to my attention. Last week I had us up 39.3 units. It was our best week. He did bring to my attention he had 38.6, I believe. So he basically was about a unit difference, and I didn't go through them myself, but I do trust him. So we're at 153. It might not seem like a lot, but I like to keep it as accurate as possible. On the week, I believe the numbers are right, but I must have graded. Sometimes I'm a unit down, a unit up. But it should be 153.6 since we started this back on December 4th. And today, we came in today down 4.85 to my knowledge. So the Twins didn't win, which is fine. We're just going to chase them right in the game too. And that obviously was one unit that we lost, which is fine. We can definitely deal with that. The Marlins, they did beat the Mets, so that was nice because we picked up 2 units, putting us up. And again, it was a even odds game. That just, to me, was a little suspicious. I just thought it didn't make much sense. But anyway, we had a win on that one. The Marlins won. I think they won pretty decisively too. I almost took the alt line on that one, and I didn't. And if you see the next match, the next matchup, the Astros Brewers, unfortunately we did take the alt line there, and on that one, the Astros won by exactly 1. So when that happens, it's a little frustrating because I picked them basically because of their horrible record against the spread. They technically did cover because they were slight underdogs, so they were getting the 1.5. So I took an alt line, so they technically covered the spread that they were supposed to, but obviously didn't cover the alt line that we needed. So anyway, don't want to ramble on that too much. Point being, if I just took the Astros to win for the even odds or the slight underdog odds, minus 105, whatever it was, we would have been fine. But we didn't get that one. So now we're back to even. Got 2, missed 1 and 1, so down back to 0. We got the Pacers cover. That was pretty routine. Just thought way more people would be on the Knicks. This game needs a Game 7. They keep talking about the 90s. I brought it up a few times. And I just think they're going to push it to 7. So if up 4 units, and with Jari winning, we're up 6 units. So if I have it correct, which I believe I do, we're in the positive this week for the first time, actually, which is fine. I'll take it. 1.15 units. And we're at 159.6 since starting. So we're moving upward. We were down almost 100, which doesn't sound like a lot. Not down 100. We were almost down to only being up 100 units. And I don't say only facetiously. It's just the truth. We were really having it. We never really fell near 100. We were between like 120 and 130 moving up. Had a bad week, couple bad days after that. And we were at like 105, I believe. And then we quickly got back up. So we're up at 159.6. Again, I might be off by like a unit or 2. Or on this week, like a decimal. I'll make sure it's completely correct. But moving towards 200 units by the end of the NBA Finals, which was my goal. Actually, my goal was 150 by the NBA Finals. And we're looking really, we already got that. So I think we'll get the 200. Now, anyway, into tomorrow's games. Twins lost. Simple. We double up. 2 units on them. And there's people that comment. Most of the people that comment, I try and get back to at least within a day. Not to sound like a business, but I try and get back to within like 24 hours. Or I just check basically every night around the same time. But yeah, I get most people that go into the system and they understand it and they're doing really good from it. Then I'll occasionally get a couple people like, oh, you missed this game, you missed that game, and I try and tell them if they just follow the system. Like we took the Pacers 2 games in a row, we lost, but I did a unit, then 2 units, now 4 units. We profited a unit hitting at a 33% clip. So again, it's not, we don't always have the highest hit rate, but if you just use smart money management, it's like card counting. Why would you not take advantage of it? So for people doing parlays and just straight betting, or I really think a team's going to win, so they decide to put 50 units on it. I can't control that. But congratulations to anyone following the system. We've been doing incredible. Like I said, last week was our best week yet, but you're only as good as your last day. So 6 units today, I'll take that. And then we go into tomorrow's games. And then I'm going to, as you can see, I got some things for the Mavs. I'm going to go into, it's going to be a little longer video. That's why I figured I'd cover this part first. I'm going to go into why I genuinely believe the NBA Finals. I always believe it's predetermined, but now I think it was in our face the whole time. And it's interesting. I'm going to go into something the NFL might have done to tease this. So, Twins beat, again, we're just doubling down. It's another pick 'em. I'm not doing an alt line, just straight up 2 units. Braves suck on the over. They're 33%. So for 8.5, Padres are only at 52%. Again, I can do a whole video on spreads I have, where if you look at the spreads historically, teams don't finish 33% on the over. And I understand we're not at the end of the year, but the public's more likely to look at that and say this team only goes over a third of the time, and now we're expected to believe they're going to get 9 runs. So, again, I just feel like, again, pitching makes a difference. I get that. But I just play the lines. Typically works out. We started off rough. Now we're doing pretty well in baseball. We don't have a sport we're in the negative in, from what I understand. Last I checked, because again, Chris always helps me with charting the sports. We were way up in football when it ended up over 40 units. With college, I know we were in the positive with college basketball. Football, we were in the negative. We did double digit. I think we're double digit units in the NBA, double digit units in tennis, and we might be double digit units positive in baseball. So all of them were in the positive. That's why I like playing as many sports as I can. Again, not to be braggadocious. I mean, I keep the receipts. You can watch any of the prior videos, add it all up. But yeah, we're doing good in every sport, and baseball's starting to look pretty good too, and it's because of the spreads. A team like the Marlins that's just not covering, not winning, all of a sudden we start chasing them and they start winning, and it works because teams aren't going to be 15% against below the norm or above the norm against the spread. So that's all I do. I fade teams that are good against the spread. I take teams that are bad. Got the Astros covering. I know they won today, so it's not the greatest chase, but they're minus 150. Like, I just don't see, I just think that there's going to be way more people on the Brewers. So I think the Astros definitely win again. So it really comes down to do they just win by 1 run. So I think they'll get a more decisive victory. That's a plus 125. Red Sox Cardinals, again, Cardinals suck on the over. Red Sox right in the middle, around 50%. So 8.5, that's just going to be 1 unit. We're going to chase the Cardinals over for the next 3 games. Mavs cover Thunder. I got them winning. I got them closing out the series. Moving on. And will it be the Nuggets or T-Wolves? Both have good narratives, but I'll go into why I just think it's been, again, predetermined. Now, I love this prop here because they keep pushing. What they're pushing with the Mavs is when Luka and Kyrie go off. It's not as much like the Jokic deal where Jokic does everything. That was the deal with the Mavs, and now it's like, again, a Batman and Robin situation. And I think that's how they describe themselves even. So I think both of them do well. Honestly, for a prop like this, I probably should just go for the crazy odds and take them both to get 30. But I'm going to go, if you noticed, I went with 24. Because a lot of people just 25, right? It's an easy number. I went with 24 Kyrie. It's also a symbolic number. And I think Luka gets 30. So I went up a couple points up in their props. Luka's prop is actually 28 and Kyrie's 21. But I just did the prop builder and did this so we get 425. So that's 1 unit. if you don't have that option, and you should, because my book's archaic, and it allows me to do this. But if it doesn't, you could just play them both separately to get their respected odds, or if it lets you up their points, get Luka on 30, Kyrie on 24. Again, from what I understand, FanDuel and some of these others have way more options than mine. So you should have this option. But if not, you can always go ahead and basically play this the best you can. I got Jari Zverev. The one thing that I've noticed is these guys, and hopefully the public hasn't noticed it too, but a lot of these guys, they're very evenly matched. So you get a lot of, 6-4s, then the other guy wins 7-5, and then it's like a 6-3 or something like that. So my belief is this will go 3 sets. Technically, it could go 2 sets, and we could still get the over, which would be nice. But I just think it's going to go 3 sets. So I like the over. Not really sure who's going to win. Probably Zverev, because the odds are a little too appealing to take Jari. But staying away from a winner. Love the over 23. And I was going to stay away from Swiatek and Sabalenka because they're both good players and they can both sell. But Swiatek moved from, or I should say Sabalenka moved from about plus 270 to plus 330. So people are going to be all over Sabalenka, in my opinion. She's a great player, a top player. I thought she was number 1. Maybe, I know, Swiatek might be 1. She's like number 2. So it's not like she's playing a scrub here. So it's just, I think a lot of people are going to be on Sabalenka, is my point. And I took Swiatek to cover 5.5. The actual line's 4.5, but I like plus odds. So plus 140 for that. That's just going to be 1 unit. So a good bit of plays tomorrow, more than today. Although we did well today. Again, I don't just play games to play them. I try and pick out the ones that make the most sense. Baseball broke even today. Basketball up 4 units, and tennis, to no surprise, really came through. We're up 2 units. Tennis has been a great return rate for us. So that's our recap. Here's where we stand on the week and on the, since starting. And yeah, I think we're going to just keep moving up. Now, I wanted to go into a couple things. So tomorrow we got Thunder Mavs. I think the Thunder are going to close it out. I'm sorry, the Mavs. I think they're going to close out the Thunder in 6 here. Mostly because we have a game going to 7. We have 2 games going to 7. I don't think they're going to make all 3 go to 7. If they have 2 go to 7, then they can have one team play one day, one team play the next day, and then kind of move on. So I feel like they do that on purpose. Like the Celtics are already moved on. With 3 teams in play, I just don't think it'll fit the schedule. They could do it and say, this is the last, I don't know, the last time they had 3 of the 4 matchups go to 7, so that would be interesting. But again, I think the Mavs are going to close it out in 6 here. And you can see Luka at 33. A lot of people might take him on the points, but I think a lot of people are taking Luka on triple doubles. So I did a few times, and we got it the other night. It was like a plus 250. I think we took it twice and got it the second time. And it worked out because it was plus 250, so we obviously profited. And I think that was for 2 units as well. So we profited pretty well. But I'm staying away from SJ's points. I'm staying away from Luka's triple-double. Basically, as I said, I think Luka's going to get 30, and I got Kyrie getting 24. And he probably, again, if he's going to get 24, I might as well have taken them both to get 30 for the narrative. But I'm just going to go with 24. I didn't want to get too froggy. So you can see some fake injuries. Of course, Luka's going to play. They said he's been playing through an injury. Now, not to get ahead of ourselves, and I'll be posting this video probably tomorrow. Anyway, Scheffler here. I'm sure you guys heard about him. He's making the news. So I wanted to go into just what I think is, why does it keep taking me to golf? There we go. All right, I just wanted to go into what I think is going to be the future NBA picks as far as who's going to win, obviously, between the Wolves and the Nuggets here, and then Pacers, Knicks. So I am more open to Knicks advancing than I was. Obviously, once these matchups were determined, we've done pretty well so far, I'm not going to lie. Our picks have been Celtics advance, Pacers advance, Wolves advance, and Mavs advance. And I like the Mavs, and I went into the Mavs pretty extensively as far as, in my opinion, they're the only team, besides the Clippers. I thought the Clippers because they were getting the new stadium. But the Mavs are the only team that really makes sense to play the Celtics. So anyway, I think I'm not changing my mind on any of it. I think we're going to get the same deal. I still like the Mavs, obviously. I'll be going into it, but I still like the Wolves to win Game 7 and advance. So anyone that got on that before the series or even now, it's basically still the same. You're getting about plus 150. I would jump on that. I just like the Wolves. Anthony Edwards' story is ridiculous. The way they're pushing his 26, whatever it is, points a game, like he's Michael Jordan. Knocking off Joker makes perfect sense. So we get Wolves and Mavs, is what I think. And then it comes down to Luca and Kyrie versus little old Ant by himself, right? And oh, he needs help. Even though he's got Cat, it's not really the same. So I think that's what we get: Mavs, Thunder, and then the Mavs over. I'm sorry, Mavs, Wolves, and then the Mavs overwhelm the Wolves and advance to the finals. And then we're gonna get Celtics. I got Pacers because it's the battle for Larry Bird's heart. I think that's a really cool story. It's different. We haven't seen these two teams match up that much. We have seen them in the Knicks match up. The reason the Knicks I can understand is, again, they're like the Detroit Lions. They fight. They're a brotherhood. So them advancing all banged up and then giving the Celtics a hard time, but they just get gassed but they exhaust every bit of energy they have. I get that storyline. So I would not be shocked if all these four. Well, the Celtics we already got, but if the Knicks advanced, it would be the least shocking for me. Not that any would shock me, but just the least surprising for me. Because again, I still think they're going to get bumped anyway by the Celtics. So whoever plays the Celtics isn't that relevant. But I think we're going to get Pacers. So yeah, I got Celtics Pacers. And we're getting plus odds on all of it basically, except the Mavs with minus 3.5. We're getting even because I took the cover. But for the Wolves straight up and the Pacers straight up, obviously you're going to get plus odds. So that's what I think we're going to get. Now what happens when we get there? Again, I think the Mavs overwhelm the Wolves, so they move on. And I think the Celtics beat the Pacers, and we get Mavs Celtics. And the reason I believe that, it's pretty simple, is this. It's kind of been staring us right in the face, hasn't it? We got Dallas here on the left, and we got Boston here on the right. And I just find it interesting. Now, I don't use symbolism that often, but I find it interesting the NFL took an entire year to go into this whole color theory, only to swerve people and it be what we thought it was going to be since week 5. Mahomes versus the world, right? Mahomes versus the Niners. But then in the NBA now we have a great shot of Dallas versus Boston. And this is, again, like they tried to make the argument, oh, well, you can make so many teams fit this scheme. There's literally 2 teams that fit the green and white, Bucks and Celtics. And beginning of the year, I went into why the Bucks were not going to be representing the East. Everyone thought they would with Dame. The odds have been so ugly for the Celtics all year long, and I went into that. Nobody's taken the Celtics. So that's why we know the Celtics are advanced. On the left side, you could argue the Wolves also match this color scheme. But if you look at the blue, in my opinion, the hue, and especially the way the blue and white are aligned, looks way closer to Dallas. And again, there's not a ton of just blue and white teams. I can think of like 3 off the top of my head. The Wolves, the Mavs. You can't even call the Thunder blue and white because they have other colors. Same with the Nuggets. So yeah, I mean, for people that want to stretch it and say, oh, well, technically, I just look at the actual scheme. I look at the team's logo, and the only ones that completely fit just blue and white, in my opinion, is the Mavs. Because again, the Wolves have gray in there. If you look at their jerseys, they're not like the Mavs. And the Celtics and Bucks. And the Bucks are a darker green. This is literally shamrock green here for the Hamas. Emerald green, maybe. I think it's more shamrock, though, for the Hamas flag. So, yeah, we had Israel Hamas staring us in the face the whole time. And who can be at the center of it is what I find interesting, because this man right here, Kyrie Irving, the quote anti-Semitic guy, unquote, end quote, is the guy that could be at the center of it. So I don't think it's a coincidence. We got the Mavs with again, you see this blue hue. Again, look at the Thunder. They don't match it. So, yeah, I think we're going to get Mavs, Celtics, Israel, Hamas. And I'm not going to lie. Earlier in the year when I said we were going to get Celtics for sure, and I thought we were going to get Clippers or Mavs, the color scheme did not play a role. I wasn't really thinking of Israel, Hamas. I was more thinking of just logic. And then as the playoffs went on, I went into, I am so tossed with the Clippers Mavs because they're playing each other. And I did have the Clippers advancing with the addendum. If they did not advance, the Mavs would be the team that represent the West. So bad first round for us, but our finals teams, our finals winner, I should say, who I think it's going to be, and the important teams we've done pretty darn good with. Calling the Pacers going way further than anyone thought they would because of the Halliburton treatment off season. Again, I should have made a playlist, but if you just go through the videos here on YouTube, there's got to be 10 plus videos where I do a tier video. So if you in the thumbnail, if it shows my thumbnail, you should see that stupid tier list where like people do it for hamburgers, and on the left is like the 5 blocks and they're different colors, and then in the middle you put all the teams, or in this whatever they put in there, hamburgers, coffee. I tried 50 different fast food places and they rank them from A to S. I still don't even know what S stands for. I used to think it was satisfactory, but now it seems like the term has changed. Anyway, not to go off topic. My point being, I did one of those videos and we had the Pacers outperforming the Cavs and other teams, and just kind of flipping the Cavs and doing a lot better than people thought. And we had some bad predictions. Beginning of the year, I said the Pistons were going to surprise people. So I guess I didn't lie, but for the most part, we did very well, is what I can say, especially for our overall narrative. Again, the Celtics have built a championship team, not a super team. They re signed an important player. They traded away a guy that they considered to be a liability, and Marcus Smart brought in Porzingis, who they desperately needed. Got Drew Holiday, who's just a perfect guy for a championship team. It's just, and then you throw in the Vegas odds. So yeah, I didn't really look at the Israel Hamas, but then I started to, and then when I saw like, okay, we have a really good shot of it happening, last round, and again, Kyrie being there makes it much more interesting of a dynamic because it's the guy again who's accused of being anti-Semitic, and he's on technically Israel. It's kind of weird how they do that, but again, I don't know exactly how the symbolism works, but the color scheme is too close to me to be a coincidence, and yeah, I think it's been in our face all along. So Celtics Mavs again, my prediction. Not much. I can't. I always say this, but really, not much has changed. Celtics. I still think are going to win the whole thing. I think it's their turn. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, a guy with the number 0 can never win it." Maybe that's the case. I guess we're going to find out. Again, they're changing a lot of the way they operate things because people are catching on to stuff. So maybe that kind of swerve would definitely, surprise a lot of especially gematria people who swear a number 0 can never win. I don't really buy into that. I feel like you can go into a lot of specifics about numbers or about players and say, oh, this guy can never win because guys don't win, whatever the case may be, in their 14th year if they have this number, or guys drafted from this college with this number never win. Now, I get just saying a guy with number 0 is less complex, and it is pretty interesting if a guy with number 0 just has never won. I'd have to check into that, but I just don't buy into it too much. I think, again, there's too many teams with superstars with the number 0 now. It's not like back when we just had Gilbert Arenas with the double 0. We have so many of them. There's no way they're gonna have all these other teams win, and somehow Tatum, Lillard, I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but I know there's a ton of guys named 0 that are they're considered stars to superstars. I just don't think they're all not gonna win. It doesn't make sense. Isn't Westbrook 0 on the Clippers? I don't think all these guys are gonna go and not get one ring. So maybe that's true. We'll find out. I think Tatum's gonna be that guy, just personally, but we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go. Again, I wanted to do the recap first for anybody that's following on Patreon, because I always post it on there. And if you're following on YouTube and you just like the daily picks and what I have the next day, I like to do that first. And that way you can lock them in now, or not now, you would have locked them in whenever. But if you, for the people that kind of want to know more about the narratives, the storylines, in this case, the symbolism, I kind of wanted to go into it. So the color theory is interesting. Again, with the Wolves, in my opinion, Ant being the guy to knock off Joker, I should say, makes a lot of sense. I think we're going to get that because they've just been pushing this guy like he's Michael Jordan. It's pretty crazy how they've been pushing Ant. And right now you're looking at about plus 150, which again, I think a lot of people are going to look at this. Oh, the Nuggets came back from 2-0. They're at home now. I think the road, maybe outside of one game, the road team has won every single game in the series. And I don't think that's a coincidence either. I think the home team advantage is a complete hoax. There's no way fans cheering or not cheering makes a difference for these guys. They don't give a crap. So, yeah, in my opinion, we're going to get Ant knocking off Joker, but not being quite enough to handle Kyrie and Luca. He'll probably face a lot of double team in that series, and they'll just push how Ant did everything he could, but wasn't quite enough. And that's where, again, we get Mavericks, Celtics. So, yeah, let me know what you think. I know a lot of people are against, Mavs, Celtics. A lot of people have the Nuggets replacing, or repeating, and they're just saying because of all the other teams that have two-peated lately. I get it. I think they're trying to reserve that, though, for Pat Mahomes and his three-peat. I went into that a little bit ago in a video. My last football video was covering that, I believe. And yeah, I know a lot of people like that. I know some people are saying the Knicks, but again, the Knicks give me Lions vibes, where even if they do get past the Pacers, I just don't think they're beating the Celtics. I don't see it happening. I think the Celtics are already locked in, which just leaves the West. I don't think it'll be the Thunder. I don't think it'll be the Nuggets, which leaves Wolves and Mavs. And again, I got the Mavs. But again, Wolves would not shock me, but a team like the Nuggets would actually be pretty surprising for me just because of the money that I think's on them and the fact that they have this opportunity for Ant. He didn't get that many points in their last win. He did go off in the first 3 games for like 40 something, I think. So I think he returns to that level and beats Denver at home. They'll go into how Denver hasn't been beaten at home that many times, and they'll go over how it's been like in the playoffs, last 5 times they went to the playoffs, they only lost 3 times at home. And here against Anthony Edwards, they lost 3 at home in the same series. They already kind of touched on it when he beat them twice in a row and they went up 2-0. And I went into how I thought that made sense because they have built the Nuggets as such a strong team at home. So I think, honestly, Denver should be like -6 here, just based off of the way these teams have played. And when Denver wins, they win big. When the Wolves win, they win big. So if Vegas thinks Denver's going to win, I thought the line would be a little bigger. But again, plus 160 looked kind of appealing, but not enough I think, bet against the Nuggets at home. So I think most of the public's going to be on the Nuggets. And we'll go more into that tomorrow. Again, that's tomorrow, not today. Or I'm sorry, that's in 2 days, not tomorrow. But I just figured I'd go into, for anyone that kind of wanted my idea, I like to kind of put out things before they happen, obviously, and not wait until they happen and explain why. Yeah, got the Wolves and Pacers advancing, and I think it's going to be Celtics Mavs, but I would not sleep on the Wolves as far as, again, Anthony Edwards playing the Nuggets here. Just seems like an easy, for the narrative's sake, I think the Wolves are definitely going to be the team to advance. But I know a lot of people have been saying Nuggets, so I wanted to address that. So yeah, that's basically it. I wanted to go into basically everything that's come to mind lately about these finals. And I've covered Israel-Hamas a couple times, but I kind of wanted to go into greater detail, just show how close the colors are. If you look at Dallas and if you look at Boston, I think they're incredibly close to Israel and Hamas, which I find interesting. So that has me sold because I already like those two, and it just happens to fit a very particular color scheme that only really these two teams could pull off. The only other one that would make sense is if you got Mavs Bucks. And again, I went into first, I think it was before the first game of the year. The second they made the Dame trade, I did a video saying this team is going to disappoint. Everyone's going to have their money on them, and sure enough, they did. And I think most people knew the Bucks and Suns were going to be duds. So we called that pretty early. And yeah, Mavs, again, kind of slept right under the radar. And someone pointed out skinny Luca. And it might not seem like a big deal, but when Joker got in better shape, that's when he won his reign of terror, won the MVPs, and then won a finals. Luka hasn't won an MVP yet. He keeps getting closer, so I think this is the year he goes to the finals. I just don't think he's going to win it. I think it's going to be reserved for Jason Tatum. So yeah, let me know what you think. I just wanted to go into all that, and again, our picks for tomorrow, our recap of tonight. again, having a good week. So we're going to go into Friday or go into Saturday now, technically up on the week, which is nice. So tomorrow will heavily impact whether we finish in the positive again this next week or if it's a negative week. And of course, we still have Sunday, but we have a good bit of plays tomorrow, a couple leg threes. So, or I think we have one leg three. So I think it'll be a positive. I know we have a lot of leg twos for 2 units. So I think it'll be a positive day. But of course, I'm optimistic, so we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's been signing up over on the Patreon. That's where I put most of my videos now, just because it has been more busy. So I just want to make sure everyone that's supporting, I get all of my nightly recaps out, which I do. All of our picks for tomorrow, all of our picks for how we did today, whether it's a positive or negative day, I always go into it. But then when I can, I try and go into, like today, a longer video where we go into the analysis of each team, why I think they make sense, why I think they don't make sense, and kind of comparisons. Like again, Brunson and the Knicks really just give me Lions vibes, so I can kind of eliminate them from going to the finals. And again, not much is going to get me off the Celtics anyway at this point. Just look at the Vegas odds. It's been obvious since the beginning of the year. And then on the West, I look at the Thunder. I don't think they're going to do it. You get a pedophile in the finals. I don't think it's good timing. They probably want to stay away from that. And then you got, again, an opportunity here for Mavs, Celtics. It's the best draw, in my opinion. Anthony Edwards knocking off Nuggets makes perfect sense. He's the perfect guy to do it. So I try and go into all those different narratives, and I think they line up pretty good. So yeah, let me know what you think. I do appreciate you guys. And as I always say, take care and happy earnings.